All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good today. We are here. Honestly, markets are all up pretty big. Tesla up to 350s, Nvidia up to 145s, Nasdaq over 22,260. I gotta check where we are relative to all-time highs. Hold on. Oil all the way back down to $66 a barrel. Markets are mostly up. Let's talk about it really quick. So markets are up sharply just this morning due to easing geopolitical risks, dovish Fed sentiment, and falling oil prices, all of which are boosting risk appetite. So the president announced a ceasefire between the two countries overseas. While some missile fire remains, tensions are easing, reducing the risk premium in oil and equities. With that, WTI and Brent crude are falling down pretty quickly, around 4% to $66 a barrel. Lower oil prices ease inflation fears, which support both stocks and bonds. 10-year treasury yields drop below 4.3%, indicating investors are pricing in lower inflation and potential rate cuts. This is bullish for tech and growth stocks. Bowman and other members hinted at the possibility of a rate cut in July, and markets are adjusting expectations accordingly. We got a weaker U.S. dollar supporting national earnings and easing global financial conditions. Big tech leading gains with no major economic data this morning, and Powell's testimony expected to remain cautious but not hawkish. Investors are optimistic, and a lot of stuff is up this morning. So that is basically what's going on in markets right now. Honestly, basically, what's up, BT, Simple, Liz, Michelle, Cato, Mirror, Ryan, Faye, Kevin, Enrico, Demetrius, Sam, Trey, CT, Pawn, Mama Pawn. Good morning, guys. Oil, $66 a barrel. Check it out. Look, here's oil. Like, look at oil. I put it up on this chart right here. Oil, $66 a barrel. 66.60s here. Like, I'll zoom in for you so you can see it. Like, look at oil this morning. Oil at $66 a barrel, 66.61. We got Jerome Powell later. We got some other stuff. We got like Case-Shiller House Price Index today. Oil coming out low. But yeah, you can kind of see oil prices here. You can see bond yields also down. If we take a look at the 10-year treasury yields, 10-year treasury currently sitting, like if we put just this up, I'll show you guys treasuries. Hold on. So look, here's treasury yields right now. And they're at 4.33%. If let me zoom up here, hold on. Let me refresh. Yeah, they're 4.33%. So treasury yields are down. You can kind of see a 5-day chart just to see how much they're down here. Yesterday they were at 4.42s or so at the open. Right around here, 4.4. Now they're at 4.33, so they are down pretty significantly. This shows a lower interest rate sentiment as well. So that shows a lower interest rate sentiment everywhere. If we take a look at the rate cut odds here, hold on. Let me show you guys this. If we take a look at the rate odds, It's looking very probable. It's even looking more probable that we're going to cut in July. So the odds of a July cut have gone up 23 to 23% odds of a cut in July. Let me make sure you guys are looking at the right same one I'm looking at. Yeah, so the odds of a cut are going up. 23% likelihood of a rate cut in July, 77.3% likelihood of a pause. So looking pretty likely that we're still going to pause rates unless we get some economic data. Yeah, I see people talking about HIMS. So taking a look at HIMS stock. Let me get all these out the way. One thing I do like about the platform I'm using is that I can transfer from different views. So I can look and show you guys HIMS right here. Look at HIMS on the bottom. This is HIMS right here. It did not rebound. I'm starting to wonder if it's a buy the dip scenario, though. I mean, it's down a lot, and HIMS seems to be a good company. I don't know if the news justifiably is going to push it down this much, or should push it down this much, I should say. So maybe it's a buy the dip scenario. I really don't know. I'm not telling you what to do. Yeah, Novo basically cut ties with them. So, that can mean a couple different things, but it's not good for them, of course, and they're down big. But I mean, they're usually a pretty healthy company, and they're down a very large percentage. They were at 65s, so they're down, 30%, 30 something percent. That's a big drop. That's a big decrease. So we'll see what happens with them. But yeah, you can see again the NASDAQ. I'm trying to figure out where all-time highs are on the NQ. Trying to figure out where that is, but we got to be getting pretty close. Yeah, I mean, we're just under all-time high. So we are $150 away in the NASDAQ from all-time highs this morning. And that makes me optimistic. It really does. Like, I do want to buy, but who freaking knows, man? You never know. Anything could happen, Look at this big pump up that we're getting right now. Let's see if there's a reason. Okay, so we got some news. ECB's Guendo says the Iran situation is extra layer of uncertainty. Other officials tell only one target will be struck. We still have some conflict news coming out, though, to be honest. So the question is, do we pull back enough now? Do we pull back enough to where we start to bounce back up this morning? Earlier this morning, we were at 22,350s. We were very close to all-time highs in the NQ. We got all the way up to 83s. So the question is, are we up now enough to, continue? I don't know. I feel like I got the same cold as me. I don't know, bro. Mine, I felt bad. Like, it wasn't terrible. All right, so the president says Israel has to calm down. He said, I have to get them to calm down, going to see if I can stop it. Yeah, I don't know. Mine, I felt terrible. So, like, if it's just a sore throat, you probably don't have it. All right, look at this rip in the NASDAQ here. We're at 22.3s right now, 22.3s. Pump it up towards all-time highs. Yeah, so the president called the Israel leader and asked him not to attack Iran. He said the president's currently speaking with the Israel leader. He said, okay, so we got some other news that recently just dropped, which is he says that they are not going to attack Iran and that all planes will turn around and head home. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Yeah. And I think this is what's driving markets higher right now. Gold's probably down, I'm guessing, right? Yeah, gold's down. Not a surprise. Let me drink some coffee here. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Kind of want to buy this dip. I'm going to buy this dip here. One micro contract in my funded account here. We'll see how this goes. Maybe add up to 2. We'll take 2 and that's it. We'll leave it right here. I'd love a rip back up, but you know. Yeah, we took a piece off just to protect the trade. It was a little bit too large early. We got 2 micro contracts. We'll try to hold the rest break even. There we go. I'm gonna cut it right there. So we just got out green in our funded account. Very small, but green nonetheless. All right, so the Israel prime minister told the president that he could not cancel the attack and that some response was needed to their violation of the ceasefire, according to Axios. Come on now, bro. I'm not getting involved. Like, look, people get too emotional about this, and I get it, but I think it's good for everybody that there's calming in the Middle East. Regardless of who you vote for, who you care about, it's good that there's calming. And so I support calmness in the Middle East. Stability, I should say. And so I was going to start buying some of this dip and stuff like that, but I'm a little nervous about this now. We did buy it in our challenge account here. Hold on, let me show you. So we are in this. We might add a little bit to it, but yeah. Scale in here. The problem is that this probably went up because of the ceasefire news, and then now I'm guessing it's retracing some because of the news that essentially it wouldn't get a hold. All right, so we got a nice little green trade here. Let's see if we can make some money from this. We're also in this account we have about $100 cushion. I will add up to 15 contracts here. There we go. It's 15. I'm going to take a third of that off immediately right there just to lock it in. Maybe take. So there seems to be good news coming out, but look at gold here. Gold is, we got to look at oil. Oil down to $66 a barrel. Let's do a poll here. I don't think we've done a poll. Will tensions settle overseas, or will we get more volatility this week? Tensions settle, more volatility, and then we're gonna have another option for somewhere in the middle. All right, vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, I'm not saying that they're going to be best friends. What I'm saying is that it's better if things settle down a little bit for everybody. All right, there we go. Here's our big move up. We'll take basically all of that off right there. You love to see it. We caught the bounce. Took a little while, but hey. How do you guys like this new camera I got? I mean, it's like widescreen, so it's interesting. So like you can kind of see it. It's widescreen here. You can kind of see my whole office area. This is my whole office. And like everybody always said this was a, you know, like I have a library. This is a library. That's what this is. Everybody always said this was a kitchen. But the camera's better. I could see the camera just better. Just knows way better. So given the recent exchanges, if we see net to his room, we're good. Yeah. I really am very neutral on all this exchange stuff. Really am, you know. Yeah, oil's still coming down though. So if we look at oil on the right side of the screen, oil all the way back down to $66 a barrel. We have Jerome Powell later on today at 10 a.m. We do have some other data coming out today. It's like we have Case-Shiller House Price Index 9, Beth Hammock speaking at 9:15, CB Consumer Confidence at 10, and then Powell at 10. And then Powell tomorrow as well. And then GDP Thursday, Friday, PCE data. So yeah, I'm trying to read some of this news. Yeah, so Tel Aviv confirmed that its jets attacked sites in Tehran. Why are your books faced with all the spines inward? I mean, they're not. Man, I'm not saying some of them don't have the spines backwards, but it's just because we probably quickly threw them on the shelf. These aren't even like my books. Like a lot of these, like I used to run a used book business and it was actually really profitable for a while. Then it got saturated, which is the nature of business, right? So I had a Bluetooth barcode scanner. I'd go to like thrift stores and like this was a long time ago, to be honest. But I still have these books. They're probably worth something too, because these were like inventory. Uh but I'd have a Bluetooth barcode scanner and I would go to thrift stores, and I would buy books for like 50 cents. So the books would cost like 50 cents, and I would scan the barcode of every book they had, and I would download the database to my phone so I could do it quickly. And like other people would try it and they would try to scan from their phone and it would take them like 20 seconds to scan a book. With me, I had like a laser barcode scanner, so I could just scan, and I programmed it to where it would jingle if the book was worth more than $20 and fit within like the popularity enough to justify selling it. And so I would just scan every book they have. If it jingled, I would throw it in my cart and buy it for 50 cents or $1 and resell it for $20. And it was really profitable for a while. Eventually, though, a lot of other people started doing it, unfortunately. And so I started running into all these different people that would do it, and I just had to pivot to a different, thing. But it taught me about business. It taught me how to like manage inventory as well. So like it was useful part of my life. But this was like a long time ago. I was young when I did that. It was a lot of work, yeah, for sure. You'd have to list them. Listing them was the hardest work. You'd have to list them on Amazon and like all this stuff. All right, so we got a little bit of a flag look here. So this does look like a flag. Yeah, I don't know. I would say the books that sell the most are like religious books, to be honest. Regardless of their religion, I think those are the ones that sell a lot. I think history books sell really well. A lot of the time, like history books sell. It's usually nonfiction books that are the most valuable. Fiction books, unless it's like really obscure sci-fi or fantasy books, which those sell really well. Like really obscure. The most expensive book I ever sold was probably like we had a Star Wars role-playing book, and I bought it for like $1, and I sold it for like the set. I sold the set for like 300 or something like that, 400. And so you find some valuable books people just throw away. Now, the caption's already been there, but all right, so we got this little bull flag here. Oil's still breaking down. Oil is now technically under $66 a barrel. Yeah, oil under $66 a barrel. Yeah, it used to be a really good business, and then everybody found out about it, and it got saturated. And like if you're in a big city, you could probably make it work, but it just wasn't. It wasn't profitable enough for me. Like I remember I could make a couple $1,000s a month, like 2, 3, 4,000 on good months, and that's cool. But it's a lot of work for that, and I'm sure there's better. Like you probably make similar money to gig economy now in like Uber or Lyft. But this was before that. This was like years and years ago, like a long time ago, when I was like a teenager and a little bit older, maybe like early 20s. Hey, congrats, Towers. Yeah, like I've thought about starting other small businesses, but frankly, I don't really need to right now. And like, I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult. I think people get wrapped up in it. I think what happens is that people make more money selling courses or being mentors on how to sell things online than they do from actually selling things online now. And I think it causes them like, I think people get talked into selling stuff online now from other people as like mentors, and they act like they're just the richest. Like, there's a very common saying that's absolutely true, and it's riches yell, wealth whispers. And so you'll see all these people and they're wearing all these fancy clothes and they've got all this different stuff on, and they're trying to act like they're just genius millionaire Amazon sellers, Amazon FBA sellers, or eBay sellers. And and they find people that are desperate to succeed because they're struggling or whatever, and so they end up just pretending like you can just get rich now by doing Amazon FBA. The issue is that it's incredibly saturated, and the risks and the margins are very bad on Amazon. They're not good. So like the margins might be 10% or less, and that's not good margins on Amazon. So if you've got thousands in inventory, that's a risky thing. And it changes quickly, and you see a lot of people like try to sell on Amazon and then it just doesn't work because you have to have the perfect product. You might have to experiment with 2 or 3 different products before it works. It's a hard business to succeed in. It really is. And you're at the mercy of Amazon too, so it's saturated. Yeah, selling stuff you don't use, that's fine. That's understandable. Yeah, it's just what's going on right now in markets. So oil down to 66. So we'll see if it holds. Again, the rate probability has gone up. We're now at 23%. 23%. Yeah, if you've got a proprietary product, it gets, I'm not going to say counterfeited, but it gets copied. And so it's one of the reasons if somebody has like a really unique product, they very rarely go to like Amazon or something like that. They usually pivot to like social media, pay-per-click sales and advertising or something like that, Yeah, we got Powell later today at 10 a.m. He speaks. We're very close to all-time high levels. And so I think the big question is, do we break all-time highs today? I think it's a legit question. I think the NASDAQ all-time highs are 22,450. So that would make the all-time highs on the NASDAQ right here. So we're not that far away from all-time highs on the NQ. I think it's very possible we push up and break that today, depending on what we do at the open. You never know. Anything could happen. But it's very possible this happens today. We'll see. I think it certainly could happen. And so y'all just want to be careful today. It could also not happen and we could just dump down. You never really know. And again, the president announced the ceasefire, but then one of the countries attacked the other this morning. And so it's kind of been back and forth. Those sporadic activity continues. Stock futures, NASDAQ up, oil down, easing inflation fears. We got crude down to $66, $65 a barrel. Gold and volatility have pulled back due to recent easing. The US dollar has weakened noticeably against the euro and yen, while treasury yields have dropped under 4.33%. Michelle Bowman leans towards easing next month, she said. Dovish murmurs are heard from other board members, and the president is pressing Congress to scrutinize Powell ahead of his by-campus testimony. And you better believe that's going to be a topic today. If you don't know what the semi-annual monetary policy report to Congress is, this is at 10 o'clock today. If you do not know what this is, I cover this every year. What this is this is basically political posturing is what this is going to be. What do I mean by that? I mean, this is basically going to be both sides, the members of Congress on both sides, posturing for 5 minutes each on what either, if they support Powell, they're going to criticize the other political side. If they do not support Powell and what he's been doing, they're going to get on to Powell today, basically. And this happens every year. It's semi-annual monetary policy report, so it happens twice a year. And today, I believe, is it happens with Congress, or the House and the Senate. Today's is with the House. So we have the House testimony today, and then tomorrow we'll have the Senate testimony. So just be ready. We're going to cover it too. Yeah, another interesting story of the day. Bitcoin all the way back up to almost 106 right now. And again, I think it's possible we break all-time highs. I don't know if it's probable, but it's definitely possible. I think that's probably a better poll. We asked people, will tensions settle overseas, or will we get more volatility this week? 34% say settle, 50% say more volatility, and 16% say somewhere in the middle. I'm going to end this and ask people, do we break all-time highs in the NASDAQ? $22,000. All-time highs in the NQ are, I believe they're 22,450, but let me make sure. Yeah, 22,450 are all-time highs in the NQ. That poll is now live. We have Case-Shiller house price index today. We have we got Case-Shiller house price. We got CB consumer confidence at 10, which we're probably not going to really get too involved with. Hey, thank you, Sam. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Today, the big story is Powell, really. Like, Powell speaking today is big. Yeah, so Fed's Bostic said, I see economic growth slowing to... he said business officials have become less pessimistic, feel they can manage through the tariffs, but they say price increases are just a matter of time. Labor market remains solid. Consumption is still resilient. Inflation risks remain as businesses run out of ways to postpone tariff-driven price hikes. He sees economic growth slowing to 1.1% this year, inflation rising to 2.9%. And so we'll see if that happens. But yeah, a lot of people have pivoted to potential rate cuts, maybe in July next month. The odds are going up to 23%, which is much more than they were a week ago. A week ago, it was at like 10% or less. So they have more than doubled in odds of a rate cut next month. We'll see if it happens. A lot of this is driven by Waller and Bowman, who are both appointed by the president, of course. Waller and Bowman think that high tariffs put in place are unlikely to have much influence on inflation, but they also worry that the jobs market could suffer a rise in unemployment if the Fed waits. They said, quote, or Bowman said, quote, should inflation pressures remain contained, I would support lowering the policy rate as soon as our next meeting in order to bring it closer to its neutral setting and to sustain a healthy labor market, end quote. Michelle Bowman yesterday. So that is probably one of the reasons yields and interest rates are moving, and rate cut odds are moving up a little bit. So that's the big news this morning, as well as the conflict stuff going on. Yeah, I mean, so Brian, I see you reporting this. That's old news, brother. And that basically, like, we reported it as well. The problem is that they already did after announcing that. So basically, we got some news that came out earlier that said that the president said that they weren't going to attack them and that all planes were going to turn around. And then the Israel prime minister told the president that he could not cancel it and that some response was needed. And then they announced that they did. Reports of two things happening there did happen. So they basically did do it anyway, even if he said they wouldn't. And now they're basically starting to ease, hopefully, a little bit. So it's back and forth right now. It could potentially cause a one-time hike. I don't know if we're going to get a hike this year. The only way we get a hike is if we saw like big inflation spikes. Like if inflation started to get incredibly risky, and in that regard, I'd support a hike. People would freak out and cry, but I would support a rate hike in that situation. If we got bad inflation spikes, of course I would. Just wait till the economic numbers come in July. Suddenly the possibility of a cut will plummet, though I could be wrong. So you're basically thinking that we're going to have stronger economics and worse inflation for July? Is that what you're saying? I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, it's certainly possible that's what we get. And in order to get a cut earlier, like a more probable cut at least, we're going to need inflation stability as well as justifiably weaker economic data. Now, we got GDP this week. So GDP comes out the day after tomorrow. I believe it's expected at minus 0.2%. I think they're expecting to confirm it. Oh, no. Okay, so I retract my previous statement. So GDP is expected to be positive, although very slow. So GDP second or final revision for quarter one is expected to be 0.2% positive. Last time they expected 0.2% negative. So they are revising this 0.4% higher at 0.2% positive versus minus 0.2% negative for GDP. Now, we'll see if that's what Thursday's GDP shows up as. We're going to cover it here as we always do. But it is important to note that they are expecting GDP to be revised higher at 0.2% for quarter one 2025 versus minus 0.2% last time. And so interesting. We also have PCE inflation coming out on Friday. Core PCE is expected at 0.1% for May, 0.1%. Core PCE year over year is expected at 2.6%, a slight uptick relative to what it was. For core PCE, regular PCE is expected to stay roughly the same. Regular PCE, actually, I'm sorry, is expected to be a little bit worse at a 2.3% year over year expectation versus 2.1% last time. So we'll see. Yeah, positive. Yeah, so there's the 8 a.m. pop. We had Mexican inflationary data come out. All right, guys. So we're up to the 22 threes. Looking at our poll numbers, I asked people, do we break all-time highs in the NASDAQ this week? 69% say yes, we do break 22,450 on the NASDAQ. 31% say no. And again, remember, guys, I'm very politically neutral. Like, I try to cover the news to where I'm not going to really, like, poke at either side of the political spectrum here. I'm very neutral politically. I don't really get involved with that. I really don't. Like, I try to, like, publish stuff that happens in monetary policy, but so just be careful, guys. Apply digital on its way back. Yeah, we got the case Schiller in about an hour. We'll see what that looks like. I'll cover it like I always do. And then we got Big Papa Jerome Powell doing his testimony at 10 a.m. We got Canadian inflation data in 26 minutes too. We'll see what that looks like. I'm curious to see what they're looking like this morning. Interesting enough, next week we got a whole bunch of data coming out too. We got like non-farm payrolls and stuff too. So it's gonna be a busy week. ECB keeps cutting 10 times. We can't. Well, we're different than Europe. All right, NASDAQ still climbing here. I kind of want to buy the dip, but John, this is what it looked like in the early 80s. The Fed hammered interest rates, absolutely hurting jobs to get inflation down, even though it wasn't employment causing it, it was oil. Yeah, but inflation of the early 80s was crazy. And so they had to do something in that situation. People are always going to be unhappy when rates are higher. That's normal. People are going to be unhappy. They want lower interest rates generally, right? They want, and especially presidents. Like, presidents are going to push for low rates universally, regardless of the consequence. Why? Because they want a strong economy as a bragging point to their presidency. It's pretty standard. This is what they do, right? Now, sometimes it's the right move and sometimes it's not. And the current situation, I think, is I don't think the current situation is very clear in terms of what we should do. I really don't. Like, I don't think the current situation, people who support the president are going to say it's super obvious we should cut rates, right? People who are against the president are going to say, oh, it's super obvious we shouldn't cut rates, right? I'm somewhere in the middle right now. I don't think it's very obvious either way. I think we're kind of in a middle ground where we have decent economic data. We have decent economic data. It's not terrible. We also have some inflation problems, but inflation is pretty low and pretty stable. At least it has been for the last few months. And so we're in kind of that middle ground where, the economy is not really weak enough to justify like super aggressive rate cuts. and inflation is not really high enough to adjust like a super hawkish monetary policy. And so we're kind of in this middle road here, and you can kind of see how biased people are on either side. And I'm not really against you. I think you could argue either side here. But with that said, I think we're going to start cutting this year, and we'll see what happens then. Yeah, I mean, I'm just not I'm not one of those people that roots for my political side like it's my football team. I'm just not. I don't really. Yeah, I think it's too nuanced. Policies are too nuanced, and people get wrapped up in all this different stuff where they just kind of. Anyways, so Amazon, we have some news for them. It says they bring Prime delivery speeds as fast as the same day to thousands of smaller cities, towns, and rural communities across the U.S. for the first time. So we did get some Amazon news. AMZ in stock. Bank of America CEO says consumer spending is up about 4.5% year over year. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And regardless of what you believe on either side of that, it's all love here. I'm not against you. I'm not for you either. I'm just somewhere in the middle. I've said it once, I'll say it again. If I got really into what I believe, both sides would probably dislike me in their own ways. I'm very moderate. I'm very in the middle. I'm very socially left, I would say. But I'm a capitalist as well, and so and even even with that, it's not like a broad brush. There's individual things that I disagree with, and so I'm very middle. All right, so we're up to 22 threes. We'll see if that holds. Bitcoin back up. Oil still, you can see where we're at in terms of stability overseas with what oil does. If oil continues to fall, that means maybe we're getting some more easing overseas. If you see oil start to come back up, that means there might be some instability rising. I think we got to look at Nvidia as well, but a lot of stuff's very flat. Nvidia is very sideways, not really doing anything either. All right, NASDAQ 22 threes. Yeah, so I did see the Nvidia CEO sold some stuff, but this was already a planned thing. So Jensen started selling under his 865 million plan, so this was a plan thing. He started selling his first transactions under a plan that allowed him to offload up to 865 million worth by the end of this year. So that's what happened with Nvidia. It's not really this is a much better catalyst than something like, hey, Nvidia CEO selling shares now, randomly, just spontaneously deciding to sell shares. This is a planned thing that he was going to do anyway. So all right, so now we're starting to see some dips. Oil breaking down too, though, so we might buy this if we can. I'm going to try to buy this. We're going to slowly add to this. This is a challenge account, so we're going to see if we can get a nice gain from this here. We're already up about 200 on this account on the day, so we can do this pretty safely here regardless. Take some risk. unless it's catalyst driven, and then we might be in trouble. See if we get that pop back up. Let me look up some news. Okay, so this is what happened. Eesh. See, but the question is, how far does this dip? So the president said he was angry and spoke in a very aggressive and direct manner during the phone call with the Israel PM. The president said he made it clear what needs to be done to prevent the ceasefire from collapsing, end quote. And so I think I'm just going to go max size here and see if we can buy this dip and then ride this up. We already got a cushion on the day. I'm trying to get that 1500 in here. So do not copy me. This is a challenge account, so it's not an actual funded account. It's not, you know, real money. Not really. I'm risking $50 here. So if we fail this, it's not the end of the world. Add one more in here. Give it some time to turn, but that's what he just said. That's why the market's dropping right now. All right, so China's vice industry minister said, I had exchanges with Hungary's minister of economy on auto industry cooperation, according to a ministry statement. See, we're right here, but as it goes deeper, I might have to just wait on this one. I don't mind like swinging for the fences on one of these because I think the way I am when I'm trying to get funded, when I trade my funded accounts, it's way different. Like it's way different. But when I'm trying to get funded, I always rush through it. But let's see if we get a big pop back. There we go. I'm going to reduce my size a little bit so we can maybe add back if we really want to. I'm going to add back down here. Yeah, I mean, if I lose one of these, you know, you might have some people that try to act like I'm just the worst ever. I think you got to take risks in some of these. With how I am, I like to build up that first $1,500 first. And if we can do that successfully, great. If not, it's all good. It's not the end of the world, and we'll try again. NASDAQ pushing up. It's at 22,283s. I think I just gotta wait. I mean, we have overseas news coming out that's influencing things. I'm trying to see if I could find the post that he spoke about. There we go. We're right back up now. See where I found the full quote. All right, MicroStrategy's Bitcoin gain of 85,871 Bitcoin. It's worth $9 billion year to date. All right, so Bank of American CEO says it will be a real shock to the system if tax rates are not extended. Okay, so apparently these quotes come from some type of source. Yeah, well, my dip buy is looking less good here. And again, if this was a funded account, I would have cut it already. I always got to preface it because you got some trolls that show up half the time. But I think I just got to let it work here, though, and hope it bounces. And if not, we lose $50 and it's okay. Maybe now's a good time to put the disclaimer up. Again, guys, this is a challenge account. So this is a $50 challenge account. If I fail this, I'm not down thousands of dollars. It's not the end of the world. Understand this on screen. Not an investment professional. Do not copy me. I might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Don't copy me. Not an investment professional. Understand CFTC 4.41. Because of this, though, it's better to check out TopStat because it's a lot cheaper to try this versus losing tens of thousands of dollars. There's still a little bit of risk here. So I'm still risking something if I fail this challenge, but it's not the full extent of putting in 5, 10, 20, 30 grand and losing that like a lot of new traders end up doing. It limits your risk. If you pass this test, though, that I'm taking right here, you get a 50K funded account, 90% split, and prior to that split kicking in, you get to keep your first 10K in profit. So it's the best of both worlds. It's limited risk, similar reward to funding your own account, and they pay out millions of dollars. They fund thousands of traders. Just a beautiful way to learn how to day trade. And if you want to get started for a cheap amount, the base one's $50, the middle one's $100, the top one's $150. It's not the end of the world if you lose, but you're still risking something and learning to trade under pressure, which is a beautiful thing. It's like a middle ground. Very good for learning how to day trade. In the futures market, you can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies, and I'll put the link up. But again, they're a sponsor of mine, so I'm biased. I might try to trade oil a little bit too here. I'm kind of looking at oil. See if there's some good oil trades to get involved with. All right, so the Fed Reserve is going to scrap reputational risk as a component of bank exams. No more debanking for holding crypto or having the wrong opinions according to them. So that's good. That's always better if they're doing it that way. Yeah, we're not going to promote other companies. Harsh. All right, so we're almost right back up to where we're flat here. That's good. You love to see it. All right, so when we bounce like this, I'm going to cut a little piece of this off, though. And then maybe we can add back. But we're basically flat, so I'm going to take 30% or a little bit off. And then maybe we'll add back if we go into the green. But that way we can either add back on the if we come back down, or we can ride it up. The problem is that this might justifiably be some resistance. I'm hoping not. Oil's still decreasing though, which is good. All right, now we're completely flat on this. If we get another pullback, I guess I'll add back into it. I'm gonna add back into it there. See if we get a little rebound here. The president says they'll meet with the. Okay, so ECB says caution will be in the first place in policy making. All right, so now we're in the green here. Yeah, so Amazon is investing over $4 billion to triple delivery network by 2026. Each new Amazon facility is going to create 170 jobs on average, and they're going to expand same day and next day delivery to over 4,000 smaller cities. Here we go. There we go. That's what we wanted here. We're going to take some of this off now because we can, which is good. All right. Add a little bit back to it here. See if we get a pop. There we go. Nice. Took a little while for us to be right here, but that's all right. There we go. Still red on this account, but that's all right. See if we pop back up. Yeah, I think we're just going to hold this mostly. All right, so the U.S. president says the Russian president called him and offered to help with Iran, which I think is a very good sign here. A very good sign. Yeah, MicroStrategy is moving still, but Bitcoin's up, so I'm assuming MicroStrategy is green. Yeah, I'm going to buy into this pullback here. Let's see if we can get a quick little bounce back. Oil did start to come back a little bit, though. There we go. No, we don't really have any 8:30 news. Not really. We got Jerome Powell today, though, at 11 o'clock. So we do have Powell today, which is big. Yeah, Powell might influence things for sure. Doesn't mean he will, but he could. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna cut this and just wait on this one now. I mean, we lost a little bit from this, but that's a big dip, and so I'll just wait and we'll try a different one. We're green on our actual funded account, so we're just like, we don't trade our actual funded account this way. We're mostly just trading our challenge accounts. All right, so we're getting a big drop here all of a sudden, though. Let's see if there's a reason for it. I think the good news is that the U.S. president spoke with the Russian president about everything. I think that's good. And I think that's more optimistic news than people realize, but you never know. Hmm. Yeah, so I'm seeing Israel report some more news on what happened at 3 a.m. this morning. But a lot of people are talking about de-escalation of all this stuff. Yeah, at 9 a.m. we got the Case-Shiller House Price Index. See what that looks like. I mean, it might be good. Case-Shiller House Price Index is house prices going up and down. If we take a look at what's expected today, we also have Canadian inflation data dropping very soon. So we have Canadian inflation data coming out soon. Nasdaq's trying to get some strength back in here too. Look at oil come back up there. So oil rebounding back on almost 66 a barrel. Yeah, I mean, again, the semi-annual monetary policy report, we usually have some type of influence from it. It doesn't mean it's going to be huge or anything like that, but we're usually going to have some. Look at this 8 a.m. drop here, or the 7:30 drop. So it could be from Canadian inflation data that's out. So Canadian inflation data showed mostly as expected. CPI month over month for Canada was slightly higher, but weird. Look at this reaction in markets here, chat. Yeah, like it retraced big all of a sudden. Okay, so the Fed Powell says they're well positioned for the time being to wait to learn more about likely course of economy before adjusting policy. So apparently Powell is speaking right now. So again, Powell just said some stuff here. Yeah, Canadian CPI slightly better, but it's kind of weird. I'm trying to see why the market spiked like this. Powell basically said they're suited to wait and not cut rates. So I'm wondering why the market ended up flying up and then flying down, kind of back and forth. We had Canadian inflation data drop, but I don't think any of it is easy to digest here. All right, so look at this big drop. You love to see it. So we jumped in the short, as you can see here, and we are up really nicely. We're going to take a little more here, and then we're holding 10 micros. We'll see if we break down more. Again, Powell's scheduled to speak at 10 a.m. We'll try to hold this one break even, but I want to give it a chance to come down. There we go. I'm going to start to unload some of this, though. It's just too close to flat. I'm going to give it a piece, but not much. Yeah, we got in short up here, by the way, so we scaled out of a little bit here, but not a lot. And we're very green from this trade now, so we're going to just cut that. So we got back to break even on this account, which is nice. We're still down a very small amount, but we avoided the big rip up, and we made money on the downside, which is good. Let me make sure. The semi-annual monetary policy report, I want to make sure it's not going on right now. It's supposed to be at 10 a.m. Yeah. Yeah, so it hasn't even started yet. So he must have been given some type of comments earlier. Yeah. Interesting. All right, so the president says on whether the U.S. is committed to Article 5, says that it depends on your definition, and there are numerous definitions of Article 5, end quote. He said the economy is solid despite levels of uncertainty. But it doesn't look like he said much else. All right, look at the NASDAQ ripping up here. All right, look at the NASDAQ rip up here. Yeah. Oil coming down, NASDAQ ripping up some. Yeah, so it says Jerome Powell said to tell lawmakers that the Fed remains focused on making sure any one-time increases in prices from tariffs won't turn into an ongoing inflationary issue. Yeah, so the Fed just said the Fed is well positioned for the time being to wait and learn. All right, so in the JP Morgan Treasury Client Survey for June 23rd, all clients had their lowest net long since June 2nd. Yeah, so Powell's going to be speaking in about an hour and 23 minutes or so, give or take. It's really hard to figure out where we go here, but I'll show you guys kind of like my main funded account that I've been trading and what it looks like. I'm going to buy this little dip here, though. We're going to take a very small size here, 4 micros. and then maybe scale up to 10 max here. I don't want to take too big of a position, but I do want to kind of scale into this. It's a challenge account, so like if we fail, it's all right. But I want to give it a chance to bounce here. We got a decent amount, a little bit of support right here. So I just want to see if we do a little bounce. There we go. That's nice. We'll add our 2 contracts, make it 10. Now we're kind of turning down here. I think I'm going to sell. Yeah, we're just going to cut that and wait. And maybe sit here with our funded account and just wait. Now, it's a big pullback. Look at oil. All right, so we did actually catch a little bounce here, but yeah, whether he was late to raise, I mean, it's definitely subjective. Maybe he was. I think with the super political nature of things, though, a lot of people are just kind of mirroring the president's line. And again, I'm not saying I disagree with you. All I'm saying is that every president wants lower rates, regardless of the cost. That's how it usually goes, and it really is how it is. And so you got to understand it for what it is, and understand like most presidents are going to push for lower rates, regardless of anything else. Now, whether that's the right move is very subjective, I would say. But it's somewhere. You could probably argue it. I think you could probably have argued for a cut last Wednesday. Probably. You know. And NASDAQ's just kind of going very sideways. The liquidity is actually down a lot too. I mean, in 20 minutes, we got the Case-Shiller House Price Index. So that is going on today. Are you optimistic that we go up in the market today? I really don't know. I think we're already up a lot. And I think we're close to all-time highs as well. And so I'm really not sure what the market does today. We got to just wait and see. Yeah, I really don't know. Oil's still decreasing. It's at 65, 60s. Trade both ways. Yeah, I don't think the market's easy to gauge right now. I mean, we're in a slight upward trend, maybe, but it's very sideways, like big range. Yeah, we're streaming all of Powell's testimony today, so we're gonna stream all of that live. All right, so we did get ourselves back green in that other challenge account we were trading. That's good. We're trying to put our funded account up, but we are green now, which is good. Kind of back and forth there. I think I posted the Top Step link. I don't think I pinned it to the top of the chat. So if you want to check out Top Step, I'll put the link up. Again, a great way to help support the channel. There's the link right there. I'll pin it to the top of the chat as well. Make sure you check it out. It's a affiliate or sponsor of mine, so I'm biased for sure. Not an investment professional. Confirm everything with them. I'm trying to look up more breaking news here. We got the Case-Shiller. Yeah, Jerome Powell says inflation eased significantly but remains somewhat high. But look how sideways the market is. Yeah, so looking at the CME watch tool here, when I'm checking out the odds of a rate cut next month, odds of a rate cut are currently at 18.6%. So they just went down about 5%. They just went down about 5%. This was at about 23% likelihood of a rate cut. Now it's at about 18.5%. So 4.5 to 5% decrease in rate cut odds for next month in July here. Yeah, 300 here, big level, big psychological level right here. See if we can get over it. We got some support here too. We got like 275. We got 315 right here. It looks like a level. We got this isolated level way up here, close to our all-time highs. I'm gonna call it 350. We got some other little spots, but all right, guys, we got the Case-Shiller house price index in 12 minutes. What's it expected at? So the Case-Shiller House Price Index today is expected at 0.1% month over month, so not much, or 4% year over year, 0.1% month over month. So we also have ECB President Lagarde speaking in 12 minutes. We have Bank of England Governor Bailey speaking at 10 a.m. And of course, we got Jerome Powell in about an hour. So look at this drop all of a sudden. Big drop coming in markets. Looking at bond yields here if you want to take a look at them. So we can see how bond yields are reacting to everything. Bond yields are sorry, hold on. I'm trying to find the link here. So here's bond yields. You can kind of see bond yields are starting to spike up, showing a higher interest rate sentiment after Powell said inflation is still elevated. He said it's eased significantly, but remains somewhat high. And you can see 10-year Treasury yields up to 4.35% right now, 4.35%. So still looking a little not good for interest rates, and yields still a little high here. So we'll see how that moves things. But yeah, that's where we're at now. The NASDAQ, since we last spoke, has decreased significantly here. NASDAQ pulling back down here. You can see it right here. Oil spiking back up a little bit. Not really spiking, but moving back up some. NVIDIA starting to head back down a little bit too. We're at 145s. Yeah, 10-year spiking because interest rates and yields have a positive correlation. And worse inflation, and the Fed or Powell basically saying they're going to wait, is causing people to be more pessimistic, as well as yields to spike. Now look, we just ran into this low. Let's see if we bounce. Yeah, I mean, some people are really like that, Michael. Honestly, I think people that are like that are just really susceptible to the media and stuff like that. Like, I try to just not get too involved with it. No, NASDAQ never hit all-time high. So the all-time highs on the NQ are 450. So, like, if we put a 5-minute chart up here, you can kind of see, like, all-time highs on the NQ are right here. We never quite got that high. We got close to it. We got up to 350s almost, but 450 is the all-time high right here. So we're still a ways from it. We're still in this little kind of like long-term bull flag, I would say, maybe. All right, guys, we got the Case-Shiller House Price Index in about 8 minutes. We'll see what that does. I don't know why it sounds so choppy right now. Sounds like I'm underwater in my headphones. Y'all can probably hear pretty standard, but I'm gonna switch my headphones out here. Hold on. Let me know if you can keep hearing it. Nope. Sometimes like my headphones will do this. Y'all can hear it, right? The music still? All right, look at this bounce right here at the 775 level that we had on our charts. It bounced literally off of it, but yeah, that's a big turn though. All right, guys, we got 5 minutes before the Case-Shiller house price index comes out. Jerome Powell speaks in about an hour. We got the Case-Shiller house price index coming out in about 5 minutes. Hey, you guys can still hear the music, correct? Yeah, maybe we do all-time highs. Okay, as long as y'all can still hear it. Let me know if that just turned it up. I don't know if that turned it up or not. Yeah, all good. All right. Yeah, so we're still down here. We're at 280s. I'm curious to see this 275 level. Not really any breaking news. We got about 4 minutes left before the Case-Shiller index comes out. Still bouncing here at this level that we had on our charts. Oil might be coming down though. Let's watch NVIDIA. NVIDIA is very sideways if you look at it. That's one of the things causing just chop today. Why am I getting emails saying I got a gas bill due? And then when I check, it says I have no gas bill due. Weird. Yeah, I mean, it's such a political time, man. People are no reason to argue about politics. I mean, it's so nuanced. Just be careful. It's not a scam. It might be. I don't know. I'm not about to click it. That's for sure. Either way. Reuters poll, so 46 out of 86, so roughly half of economists say the European Central Bank are to cut deposit rate once more this year to 1.75%, likely in September. So some ECB polling results coming out this morning. I'm just kind of waiting here. I could short this. It kind of looks like a head and shoulders. I guess I'll try to. But it's hard to tell. We're also kind of flat. You should be able to hear the music pretty well now. I turned it up a little bit. Let me know. All right, so the Case-Shiller House Price Index drops in 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Let's see what this shows up as. Again, it's expected at about 4% year over year for April. In about 5 seconds, it comes out. Not a big report, but something. All right, so it showed up at 3.4% lower than expected, weaker than expected at 3.4%. The NASDAQ honestly tumbled down a little bit here before retracing higher, which is interesting. But lower home prices. Market did react to this, interesting enough. All right, so we're retracing back down nicely here. All right, so we ended up shorting into this bounce. I ended up covering a large part of this position, but I'll show you guys what's left here. We'll try to hold this maybe break even if it does rip back up, but we're up a couple hundred on this account now. I want to give this a chance to break down some more. But again, Case-Shiller House Price Index showed up weaker than expected at minus 3.4% and minus 3% month over month. So weaker than expected. There we go. Look at oil spike. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this right here. We're up over 200 on the day now. Top 3 best gambler in the world right now. Top 3 best gambler in the world. But yeah, the Case-Shiller did show up 3.4% versus 4% expected. Month over month minus 0.3% for 20 month over month. The U.S. monthly home prices month over month should have been minus 0.4%. All right, so we are starting to move a little bit more, but we're kind of staying the same. I mean, oil's up to 66.20s. Now we got 30 minutes before the opening bell here. Yeah, Powell speaks today. Hey, what's up, Blaze? John, how are you doing your chart so accurately? Oh, you mean my levels? Because listen, they're the top three greatest levels ever. uh, but hey, I appreciate it. Ooh. All right. See, I got an application for my townhome, but it's a Section 8 application. And so I don't know whether I want to deal with that or not. What do you guys think? From y'all experiences, that I know Carol and I decided, I don't know. We don't know what we're going to do. But I know we originally thought about it, and I'm going to ask my property manager for advice in this. All right, so we're bouncing back up. Oil. If the property was a little bit like cheaper, I might consider doing it. But and I'm not judging anybody's situation. I'll think about it. What's up, Blaze? We're starting to bounce back up some. Yeah, I mean, markets aren't really down a lot from like, so the ceasefire news came out here, right? So if you look at this, ceasefire news came out, and we have flown up since then. Here's the NASDAQ. You can just kind of see, like, if we focus on the NASDAQ right now, you can kind of see, the NASDAQ is up a massive amount from this. So it hasn't really pulled back yet. So oil is down. You can kind of see, like, here's the NASDAQ right here. If we take a look at oil's coming down a little bit, or a lot, I should say, relative to where it was. Here is crude oil. It was at 75 a barrel roughly when the strike news happened over the weekend, and now we are all the way down to $66 a barrel. So getting some stability here, a little bit of easing, and I think that's what's making people yeah, I mean, I appreciate the advice. That's what I told my landlord, or my property manager, was just kind of like, we weren't really wanting to accept Section 8 just because I've heard things from family members about how difficult it can be, and there's good and bad things about it, right? Like, you get the income you get is going to be incredibly reliable, and so you know we'll consider it. I'll have to look, but Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not about the income though. Like, so people are talking to me about real estate, right? Like, what you all have to understand is this: it's not about the income. All right. Like, look, I can do the math here in a property. Okay. So like this is why it's not about the income. Like y'all are missing the point of investing in real estate if y'all think it's purely about rental income, cash flow, because it's not. Like, okay, say you buy a property for $300,000, right? Average property is going to appreciate 3 to 5% a year. And so let's just call it 4% to make it even, right? So within 20 years of holding a property, look at oil start to surge back up here too, at up to $66 a barrel. Oil starting to surge back up. So here, I'll show you guys my other screen so you can see what I'm actually doing here. Hold on. All right. So say you got a property and it appreciates a $300,000 property. It appreciates at 4% a year. Within 20 years, that $300,000 property, in theory, is going to approximately be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Going to roughly be $660,000. So that property value is going to double, basically, approximately, in a 20-year period. So you're going to double your money in 20 years. That's number one. Not only that, but over time, you're also going to be able to ask more rent. And so let's say you use a 1% rule and you make $3,000 a month. Let's call it 2,500 just to be fair. And we do the same thing. Say that rises at about 4% a year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. In 20 years, you're going to be able to ask $5,500 a month for that property. And so it's going to appreciate as well as your rental income is going to grow. Now, you could probably reduce this by about 30 to 40% just on fees, taxes, all that stuff. The point remains, though, is that holding property and diversifying into multiple properties, as well as like you can get loans from the property, you can refinance, or you can get a home equity line of credit, and you can use that money tax free. And there's some tax advantages to that as well. And so there's some benefits of holding real estate. Now, I don't know if it could be your only thing, but it's not purely about the rental income. Like most of the time, property values are going to rise over time. Especially if you buy it in the right area, which I consider this, a good area. Generally, they do. Yeah, townhomes on average appreciate 3.5 to 5% annually. All right, guys. All right, so we're dipping down a little bit here now too. All right, guys. Also, since we have Jerome Powell speaking again, I am going to pivot to my other stream here. By the way, so I'm going to pivot to my other stream here. And so, yeah, we're going to pivot to our other stream. Give me a second. Let me schedule this thing. We're going to pivot to our new stream. All right, today is July 24th. The next Fed meeting is going to be July 30th. I think it's going to be at the end of next month. All right, guys. So we are going to pivot to make sure we're redirecting here. So we got Jerome Powell speaking live. Yeah, make sure we got the other one going. Yeah, there it is. All right, so look at this big pullback here. Is it time to buy this dip? I don't know, man. Yeah, so again, guys, so everybody here, listen, check out Top Step, beautiful way to help support the channel. Look at this big pullback here. We might have some breaking news. So a court ruling shows that a U.S. judge shows Anthropic made fair use. Fed's hammock says rate could be on hold for quite some time as Fed seeks clarity right now. The U.S. president also just spoke here, so this just dropped. President said heading to NATO, where at worst it will be a much calmer period than what I just went through. He also said China can now continue to purchase oil from Iran. Hopefully they will be purchasing plenty from the U.S. Also, it was my great honor to make this happen, end quote. So we got that going on. Again, guys, we're going to be pivoting to our Jerome Powell stream, where we are going to trade the opening bell live for our Jerome Powell stream. So don't go anywhere. Again, we are going to pivot to Jerome Powell right now. And I'll see you guys over there. So we'll see you guys there. Make sure we got redirect on real quick, and then we're going over. Look at the NASDAQ dump here on this news. So on Hammock saying rates could be on hold for quite some time is probably what's driving this move down. But again, I'll see you guys over there. If you can't see it, here's the link to the actual stream that's coming out right now. So here's a link to the actual stream. Yeah, so here's a link to the actual stream. I'll see you guys over there. We're going to start it right now. Trying to make sure redirect is on. Yep. All right, we're good. All right, guys, I'll see you over there.